Hello and welcome to another Thursday of Spelling Out Your Success in 2022. I am Robin Sachs. I am a confidence coach and speaker, and this is my cohort and my co-host and my buddy, Lindsay House, who is an accountability coach and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
You should look us up.
Oh, no, you should. We're good stuff.
We are. We're good stuff. We're the real deal. But what we've been doing all through 2022 is coming on and I would say partially giving some free coaching and some nudges and some ideas and some things that hopefully motivate you a bit to think about things a little bit differently when it comes to your success. We are all about teaching you how to maybe think smarter, not harder, how to simplify a bit so that you can actually do the things that you really would love to do so that you can truly bring your value out into the world, because we are both of the opinion that everyone has a value and we don't want that squashed or quieted. We want you bringing it to the world. So sometimes you need a little confidence to do that and a little accountability, and you're off and running. So yeah. And Allison, good morning. I see we've got somebody popping on. Awesome. So today we are on M as we step through the alphabet. So how you doing today, Lindsay?
Oh, I'm wonderful. It's Thursday morning. Sun is shining. We were in the 100 degrees and it is officially 75 this morning. So it is glorious. Yes. How are you doing?
Wonderful. We were well into the 90s for way too long here in Cleveland. And the last week has been perfect. So I am a fall person. I am so looking forward to the next couple of months here.
Yeah. So much gratitude, right? It's one of those like, oh, thank you. Thank you for season changes.
Nice.
I'm loving M, Robin. Loving M.
Has been
We're
amazing.
gonna have to dive right in because there's so many good ones on this. So do you want to kick us off? Let's start with motivation.
I love it. I love it. All right. If I'm starting us off, here's the thing. As somebody who is often referred to as and often refers to herself as a motivational speaker, I will be the first one to tell you that motivation is a red herring. It is the first thing I tell people when it comes to motivation. I've got to get motivated. When I'm more motivated, I've lost my motivation. Motivation is a red herring. It is literally meaningless after about the first 5 seconds. And what I mean by that is, do not rely on motivation, because motivation is like the spark that starts your car. If you get into your car and you push the button or you turn the key, there's a spark and poof, your engine starts, right? Your car starts. But after you've done that, that ignition has no other meaning. It has no job. It has no value. It has nothing. It was the start that got everything running. Now that that's happened, you have to put your foot on the brake, put it in gear. You have got to back up. You've got to drive. You have to make turns. You have to turn the wheel. You have to adjust and shift. You have to change lanes. You have to do a whole bunch of other things to get from where you are to where you're going. None of that has to do with motivation. Motivation will never do that. What does that is habits. Mm-hmm. So motivation is the spark. It's that moment that we go, yes, I could do that. Yes, I want to do that. This time it's going to be different. After that initial spark, do not rely on motivation. Put in place specific habits. What are things I'm going to do on a daily basis? What are the consistent things that are going to get me from where I am to where I'm going? So where motivation is necessary at the beginning, please don't rely on it for long periods of time. Those are habits. Get them in place early, get them in place often, and then forget whether you're motivated or not. If you wake up one morning and you're like, I don't feel like doing this, doesn't matter. You got stuff to check off. Go do it anyway. I don't care how you feel. Go do it and you will get to where you want to go. You'll get what you want 100% of the time. I could talk about this for hours, so I'm tossing it back to you quickly, Lindy.
No, and again, I always say this, but I love, this is why you and I are out here together. It's because I have a whole new angle I want to go with it for a moment, but I love what you just said. So my question to our listeners today is, where are you grabbing your external motivation from? And I'm going to throw out, some common ones. I feel like if we use social media properly, we can actually be getting some really good motivational figures from that. Podcast, plugging the right people into our ears. It can be a social network if you have a motivational social network. If you don't, watch out. Books, it can be friends, it could be health heroes that are out there. I'm throwing these out because I really, really want you, if you cannot rattle off your motivational network to me in the first 5 seconds, then we need to build one. Okay. Because if you don't, I'm telling you, it is one of those, I can feel so unmotivated, and I put one of my people I listen to on podcast into my ear, and I can walk out of that session going, now I'm ready. And Robin, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, I get that way with our sessions together. When we part, I'm ready to go. You fuel me, you motivate me. Tell me who or what are your like top 3 motivators, Robin?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have this completely obscure person that I absolutely adore that I follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they actually, it's an ex-Buddhist monk. Can you be an he was a Buddhist monk for a number of years. His name is Cory Muscara, and Cory speaks my language. Cory is the person that when I meditate, I love his voice. I listen to lots of different meditations, but there are times when I go, that's the voice I want resonating in my head because it gives a certain feel. And Cory, the reason that Cory is a motivator for me is, and this is probably the Buddhist monk coming into the mix would be my guess, which I do not have that in any way, shape, or form. I'm someone whose energy can take me way up quickly, and I get very push with some things when I get excited or excited for someone else. One of the things I absolutely adore Cory does, he remains like this all the time. And I aspire to that because calm is a superpower. And that is something that when you learn to bring that into the mix. So Cory is one that took way too long. So I'm just going to go with that one.
Oh, thank you. That's so good.
You.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have an example that might help how people could think about this too, is we started school and I have a 7th grader, and I kid you not, I think my 7th grader is the only person that doesn't have a cell phone, to the point where her bus schedule was messed up. Her bus never came, and she walked into the office, and the office told her, give your mom a call. And she's like standing there, and they're like, why are you standing there? She's like, because can I borrow your phone, please? And they're like, the office looked at her and went, you don't have a phone? And so I've really been like tearing, back and forth on this. And I have somebody I follow on podcasts to gather moments. I'm throwing her out there. She's wonderful. It's about swimming upstream against societal norms and whatnot. I pulled her in. I texted a friend, and I was like, I need people to give me some true north on this one. So be friends, podcasts, and my other podcast networkers, my people like you, Robin, my people like Jennifer, who I was just saying, like, I seek this out, and I'm a whole new person once I reach out. So that's my example. And I wish, and I want that for everybody. And I know we're spoiled because we live in these networks. So they're kind of more at our fingertips. But if we don't have them at our fingertips, we need to work really hard to put them there.
And, but kind of going along with that, because I think this is an important distinction. And Allison, who's joined us, is with us. She talked about going on Instagram and finding people who inspire, and also her coach, just like you and I said. And I want to reiterate something you said at the beginning, Lindsay. You can have an actual person that that you can call, that you can go to Panera and meet for coffee and sit across from and look at, that brings you the energy you need at the time you need it. You can also pick up your phone or hop online or listen to something and get that same energy. So know that it doesn't look one way. There are so many different ways it can look. The key is find things and start to pay attention in your everyday life. When you start to feel good, when you start to feel energy, when you feel that positive energy, stop for a moment and take note. What's going on? Who are you with? What are you thinking about? What are you not thinking about? And really, over the course of a couple of weeks, this might be a great homework assignment. Pay attention to where you get your energy and where you get your stress. Yeah. And really be honest with yourself and start to identify, am I hanging out here with my stress more often than I need to? or I'm choosing to because I never really paid attention. And this place where I get my energy, all of a sudden I can focus, I can take action, I can get things done.
Yeah.
Why don't I make a deliberate, intentional choice to get over here more? So
Yeah.
that might be a great homework assignment.
Let's make it the homework assignment.
All right, it is.
Yes.
So let's do that.
And then I want to flip it back over to you because I think this could be a good segue into momentum. Which I believe were you gonna want to talk about some momentum?
You know what? I can, and then I'll flip it back to you because I know this is another one. I bet we both have some things to share that would be helpful. You know, when it comes to momentum, going back to that motivation thing, where motivation's a moment, and then get away from it, get to habits. The whole idea with creating a plan and following the plan, or creating habits, whether it's a habit tracker or just a little list that you do every day and check things off. The idea is you're not going to see changes instantly. You're not going to do something for a week and be a different person. That's not how it works. Yeah. What you need is momentum. And the way that you get momentum is doing little things consistently. Yeah. When you choose to do little things consistently, even though you don't see results right away, little things done consistently get you results. And that is how you get results. There is no other way. There literally is no other way. So yeah. that habit tracking, or that just what am I going to do consistently regardless of how I feel? I don't feel like doing this today. Doesn't matter. Go out and take your 15-minute walk. Done. It's a non-negotiable. And so to create that momentum, which is key to success in anything, you're going to have down days, and that's okay. This isn't about momentum's got to keep me rah every day and positive. No, you're human. So know that momentum doesn't mean start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. Momentum means you keep going, and your emotion or your feeling or your schedule or your commitments might go up and down, but your consistency and your momentum continue. And that's how you get from where you are to where you'd like to be.
Yes. Amen. I love
this. What are your
this.
thoughts on it, Lindsay?
Yeah. And I'll be so quick on this one too, because I feel like everyone's probably getting that. You just described that perfectly. But I want you in your own life to think about what and where do you build some of your momentum. So I think about this, like when you haven't worked out in a while and all of a sudden you get back into the gym or you get out on a walk with a friend, isn't it so much easier to go do it again the next day? That's momentum. If you haven't bought the groceries or started the grocery list yet, and then you finally get something in the house, you like build a little momentum to now I'll just go cut up some fruits or vegetables. And I call them ripples too. I kind of think of them as one and the same, but we're pushing our ripples in a direction that everything just gets a little bit easier because you're building on it and you're not starting at that ground zero again. So, okay, that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. I want to leave a lot of time for mindset right now, Robin.
And you know what? I'm going to bring one thing in because our Allison, who's sharing a lot with us this morning. Thank you, Allison.
I love this. Thank you.
Another M she brought in is myself, and specifically, where do I get my stress? And you know what? I can sort of tie this into mindset as well. Because like you said, mindset is a biggie. You know, it's if you are not in the right headspace, it doesn't matter what you do. It literally doesn't. It will not stick. It will not continue. You will lose momentum. You will lose motivation. You will not have habits in place. None of it will work, because what often happens is the mindset is what gets in the way. And, you know, an example of this is whether I'm working with a young athlete who's a softball player, or a CFO who's got to go do public speaking, the mindset is exactly the same. And here's what it is. You can practice that speech 100 times. You can get on the tee in the batting cage and practice that swing 100 times. But when you step on the stage or when you step into the batter's box, if mentally you don't believe you can do it, none of those reps mattered. And so what people do is they a lot of times think, let me do the physical rep. Let me do the physical rep. And that's what we do. And that's what we do. And we create the muscle memories and all of those things, which are important. However, the moment you have to perform, whatever that means in that moment, what's happening here will dictate completely what your outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
So the physical reps are important, but the mental reps are even more so, because if I have the mental reps in, even if I don't have the physical reps, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be okay. If I only have the physical reps and I don't have the mental rep, you're not going to be able to perform ever. And so the idea with mindset is mindset before skill set. 100% of the time is mindset before skill set. Do not ever waver from that. The moment you want to do something well, the moment you want to do something successfully, the moment you have got to check in one with your self-talk, what is the mindset you're setting up for yourself? Because what's the famous quote, Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And, sometimes people kind of go off and it gets kind of silly. There was the Saturday Night Live, was it Stuart? What was his name? It was the affirmation guy. I think oh my God, I can't even believe I'm working on this. But it was, he'd look in the mirror. It was a Saturday Night Live skit. And he was this positive affirmation guy. He'd look in the mirror and he goes, I like me. I'm going to be okay today. And it was affirmations to the 10th power, specifically to be comedic with it, to be humorous with it.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about necessarily. Yeah. But the idea of affirmations is whatever Stuart Smalley, thank you. See, Allison comes through again. Thank you. Affirmations are key because what you're telling yourself in your own head determines your mindset for everything you walk out into the world and do or don't do. So if you're telling yourself, I can't do this, or I'm no good, or I'm probably not the right person for this, I'm going to mess this up, your brain goes, oh, okay, that's what you're giving me. So, okay, I'll believe that. But if instead you go, you know what? I've struggled with this before, but I'm doing so much better. And as a matter of fact, I'm prepared for this. I'm going to go out there and just share and do what I need to do. I'm going to walk into the batter's box, and instead of going, don't strike out, don't strike out, don't strike out, I'm going to get up there and go back to basics. See ball, hit ball. Watch the ball hit the bat. That's it. That's all I'm thinking. Your brain and your body are interconnected. When you remind your brain what you want instead of what you don't want, your body goes, oh, I can do that. And all those physical reps get brought to the surface and you just go do it. So I'm curious, where are you going to go with mindset, Lindsay? Because we could go all over the place with this. My goodness.
I know. I'm actually going to just, again, second everything you just said, and then just wrap it up with a bow with, I think that I can work on and believe the mindset before skill set, the repetition thing for myself. But it's interesting as you're talking, and I was picturing that I can get a little frustrated with my kids of like, we've talked about this, or like as we're driving away from sports practices and I'm like, it's all about the brain. Like you're getting so defeated. I get frustrated with somebody else way faster, which is weird than I do with myself, because I'll know like just repetition of mindset. But I guess for anybody listening, just having that patience with yourself or with those around you that like they're working on their repetitions too. And that luckily with kiddos, we have time, this whole 18 years or whatever they're in our home, that we can build those repetitions with them, which how cool is that, that we have that kind of time to do that.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have to just bring this in because you kind of touched on it. When we talk to other people, it's easy to build them up and remind them what they do well and what they're capable of doing and to help raise their mindset. When we talk to ourselves, we often do the opposite. And we remind ourselves what we're no good at and what we can't do and what we've messed up in the past. Begin to talk to yourself like you talk to a friend or your kid or somebody else, a coworker. Talk to yourself like you talk to other people when it comes to mindset, because you will more likely build yourself up quickly as opposed to push yourself back down. So that's a key component to that mindset piece. If you do nothing more, get that mindset in the right place and you can do anything.
Yeah. That's so good. Okay. Yes.
All right. I'm going to throw one out to you because of what you do every day so well. One of the ones I want to toss to you is move, because moving is so important to so many aspects of health, both mentally and physically. But again, sometimes I think people are looking at it a little wrong and thinking about it wrong, and it becomes a burden instead of something that's really doable and helpful.
Yeah,
What do you
man, and
think?
I wanted to come at everyone with some facts today. So I'm gonna get to those. But I am, as Robin was referring to, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a dietitian. One might think you hear personal trainer, hardcore is a word that can come to mind. And that's what I kind of want to debunk today is what means move. Our our government says move means 5 days a week of 30 minutes a day is moderate physical activity. And that's where we can really benefit from that movement. Like these things go down. A decreased risk of 20 chronic health conditions can go down with just 30 minutes a day. Okay. We can lose weight, we can sleep better, we can decrease our risk of cognitive decline, so dementia or Alzheimer's. And that one to me always is like blows my mind a little bit because it's so scary. And one of the facts that came out in this is people who move are almost twice as okay, I'm just going to read it. Cognitive decline is almost twice as common in adults who are inactive as adults that are active. So we're giving ourselves almost a 50% better shot of keeping our brain healthy when we move. So back to that, what does move mean? When people think 30 minutes, they think I need to go pound the pavement. They think they need to go be lifting hardcore in the gym. And I know Robin and I have talked about this, but I will never stop talking about this. Moving means move. I just was talking to a client yesterday about if you want to call your 30 minutes that you went to Target and parked in a further away parking spot, you walked into the building, you lapped, and you came back out, and that was 30 minutes, check. Like that counts. So you can kind of start to picture your days like that. Maybe you're walking your kid to school in the morning. Maybe you are picking up a tennis racket or playing soccer after school with your kid. Like those 30 minutes can happen without you ever walking into a gym or ever purposefully saying, I'm going for a walk. Like it doesn't matter. You just need to move. And then that will bring back that momentum, those ripples. The mindset gets better. Our brain health, if you struggle with depression, when the next season comes and it gets darker earlier, move. And my promise to you is that you will see some gradual betterment of all those things that feel just hard at the moment. Robin.
Love it. Echoing everything. Love everything you just said. And talk about a mindset shift for many people. Thinking it has to look this way and then realizing it doesn't ever have to look that way. If it looks this way for you and that works and you enjoy that and it keeps you consistent, that's what it looks like for you. Fantastic. It doesn't have to look like that. And, it's one of the, so many of us have, right? Everyone's got on their phone or a watch or whatever, we're counting steps, everything, something's counting steps. I guarantee whether you realize it or not, or you look at it or not, something on your person is counting your steps. And, take away that arbitrary 10,000 steps, which is kind of an arbitrary number. It doesn't really mean anything. And if you want to learn more about that, call Lindsay and she can talk to you about that. And it's kind of like the 28 days to change a habit. Totally arbitrary, has nothing to do with habits or changing things about people. Cool story. Look it up if you want to know where that originally came from. World War II doctor amputees. Go Google it. Fascinating. Has nothing to do with changing habits. So that 10,000 step thing, what that's done, I think, for a lot of people that maybe you didn't even think about before, that's the positive of it, is you realize how much you move during the day just by doing stuff.
Yeah.
And when you bring that mindset shift you just described beautifully into the mix, Lindsay, that counts. All of that counts. So if you had to walk the dog 3 times today, that counts. If you had to go to the mailbox down up the driveway to get the mail, that counts. If you have to go to the grocery store and grab apples, that counts. So one of the great things about those tracker type things is just use them to start to become aware, at least at the start, to become aware of how much you move, and then maybe make it a little game if you want. If that's as simple, if that's where you're starting, make it a game. Hey, I did 3,000 steps yesterday. Today I'm going to do 3,100, right? And just start playing a game. You don't have to do 10,000 steps, right? If you're normally doing 1,500, I want you to do 1,600 tomorrow. That's it. And slowly build yourself up, right? So many of those wonderful health habits, you don't have to drink 18 gallons of water today. If you don't drink water at all, drink half a glass and you're so far ahead, right, of where you were. You're doing great. So, but with the moving thing, pay attention to all of your movement. And like Lindsay said, don't hold yourself to some expectation that's not anything you need to hold yourself to, because that'll burn you out faster than anything. So
yeah. And again, just to kind of wrap that one up, I feel like if we can get our brain off the scale and caring that moving doesn't have to mean losing weight. Like grab on to whatever is the most motivating for you. For me, brain health is that really like gets my shoes on and gets me out the door. For some individuals, it could be to alleviate or to decrease depression. For some individuals, they're working on getting their lab numbers down, their good cholesterol better. And guess what? Moving bumps up our good cholesterol. Like if you know what you're fighting for and we can get your brain off the scale is a side item. It gets so much more motivating, because I think where a lot of people go, wah, 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 is when they feel like they're moving a lot and that stupid scale doesn't show it. And then they're like, what good is this doing anyways? Well, let me tell you, let's like number out the ways, but we forget to look at all those other side benefits.
Right. And a complete aside here. And again, I'm not going to dig deep here, but this is something Lindsay is a perfect person to have this type of conversation with. If you're struggling with or have been challenged with things like this in the past, movement or the weight loss, or figuring out how they work together and how they don't, the whole dieting mentality versus health mentality, right? Mm-hmm. Diets will tell you certain things that actually don't equate to the things in reality that give you the results you want. And so, again, that idea of I have to do an hour of cardio at a gym 4 days a week. No, you don't. Whoever said that? Don't listen to them ever again. Ever. They gave you bad advice. And to your point, right? Food is a great way to lose weight, right? Yeah. Movement is a great way to get healthy, bones, ligaments, brain, circulation, all of those things. So kind of explore the bigger picture of what all of these things do. And I love how you just said this, Lindsay. You know what? Even if you take, step off the scale and don't think of your movement as your weight loss thing. Maybe that's something you do with your food, right? Or think of your movement as the thing that, like you said, brings 20 different diseases down here. That's the reason you move. So latch on to something that's different from what you've latched onto before, perhaps with your mindset, and see if that changes things for you.
Yeah, I was looking, Allison said numbers are hard not to attach onto. Mm-hmm. And I 100% agree, Allison. I feel like I have a couple of clients who are actually data research gatherers who we talk numbers all the time. So my thing for you, your takeaway with numbers is, Robin started to go there, but we use them as a positive. Like the numbers are just research. So if we're looking at pedometer numbers, it's research just to see if we plotted them. Is our graph going up or is our graph going down? Same thing with if you're a numbers scales person, like if we're gonna weigh, then let's plot it. Let's make it a research project. Same thing with food logging and calorie numbers. So I think it's like, if it's part of our personality to go numbers, we don't fight against that. That's exhausting. And instead we can work with it and just, how can we put it in that positive light though? So I hope that kind of helped answer that question a little bit or bring some ease there. And I am looking at the time, Robin. We're reaching up to our
way to wrap it. So
yeah. Okay.
You want to take us out, Lindsay?
Sure. Again, you can find Robin and I. We always have our links attached. We do coaching individually. We jump on together. We do this. We've podcasted together. There's so many, again, different ways to grab your motivation from us. And there are free options in there as well. So I'm going to name mine. You name yours, Robin, and then we'll peace out and we'll see you again soon. But you can find me the easiest at Direction Not Perfection Podcast, and healthaccountabilitycoach.com is my website. On to you, Robin.
Nice. All right. I am on LinkedIn pretty much daily. Feel free to connect if it makes sense or follow me. I do share tips and tools, all kinds of things about how to have more confidence and less stress, no matter what it is you're trying to do. And my website is robinjsachs.com. Lots of free videos, lots of free articles, blog, all kinds of stuff with a bunch of tools, tips, some motivation, some ways to create momentum and habits and all that good stuff. Just again, to have more confidence and less stress.
Yes,
and that's
have
about
awesome
it. As always, peace out. Allison, thank you for joining us this morning. We will be back, I believe, next Thursday, and we are on to N, which may be numbers we could dive into further.
Okay.
Mental note to self.
Yeah, got it.
Excellent. Lindsay, I appreciate you. Always a blast. And I will see you next week.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.